It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind where the sunlight pours in gently, the coffee brews just right, and for a moment, everything feels still. I was sitting on my porch, newspaper in hand, when I saw George, my neighbor of over 20 years, heading back from his mailbox. He waved, wearing that usual grin. Tall, strong, always working in his garden, George had just turned 72. We'd even joked earlier that week how he still looked like he was in his 50s. He never smoked, walked every day, and made a salad with every dinner. If there was anyone you'd think was safe from a stroke, it was him. But just minutes after that wave, it happened. I heard a strange sound, like something heavy dropping fast. I looked up. George was on the ground, unmoving, no warning, no goodbye. The paramedics did everything they could, but it was already too late. George had suffered a massive stroke. That morning changed everything for me, because if it could happen to him, it could happen to any of us. You see, stroke doesn't always come with a dramatic buildup. Sometimes it comes quietly. Sometimes it whispers. And sometimes it takes someone you care about before you even knew they were at risk. What if stroke doesn't come with a warning, but with a whisper you didn't hear in time? If you're over 60, chances are someone you know has had a stroke. Or maybe you've even felt a strange moment yourself. A skipped heartbeat, a lightheaded step, a numb hand you brushed off as just tired. But here's the truth. Nearly 3 out of every 4 strokes happen after the age of 65. And many of them, they don't come out of nowhere. They're built silently, year after year, by small habits, hidden conditions, and things no one ever warned us about. That's why today I want to share with you 5 of the most overlooked preventable causes of stroke in older adults. This isn't just medical jargon. This is personal. These are patterns I have seen in friends, in neighbors, in people who never thought it would happen to them. Because stroke is not just a health issue. It's a life changer. It can steal your independence, your memory, even your ability to speak. But the good news? You don't have to live in fear. Instead of waiting for a wake-up call, we can start with awareness. Instead of thinking, I feel fine, we can ask, what's happening beneath the surface? So grab a cup of tea, take a deep breath, and let's walk through the 5 hidden causes of stroke in seniors. What they are, how to spot them early, and most importantly, what you can do today to protect your brain, your body, and your future. Let me tell you about Evelyn. She lived 3 houses down, 68 years old. Always moving, always smiling. She trimmed her own hedges, hosted book club twice a month, made the best blueberry muffins in the neighborhood. One Wednesday morning, her daughter found her slumped in the kitchen. Half her face was drooping. Her words came out jumbled. Her right arm couldn't move. Evelyn had suffered a major stroke. The most shocking part? She had no warning signs, no headaches, no dizziness, no chest pain. But the doctors found one clear answer: uncontrolled high blood pressure. Evelyn had skipped her checkups for years. She felt fine, so she assumed she was fine. But her blood vessels, especially the tiny, delicate ones in her brain, were being damaged every day. Quietly. Invisibly. That's the thing about high blood pressure. It's called the silent killer for a reason. You don't feel it, you don't see it, you just live with it. Until one day, it changes everything. So, what is high blood pressure really? It's the force of your blood pushing against your artery walls. And when that force stays too high for too long, It wears those walls down, like constant water pressure against an old garden hose. Eventually, something gives. Two things can happen. One, a clot forms and blocks blood flow to the brain, an ischemic stroke. Two, a weakened vessel bursts, causing a hemorrhagic stroke. Both are deadly. Both can leave you with permanent disability, and both can strike without a single symptom beforehand. Here's what the numbers say. Nearly 2 out of every 3 Americans over 60 have high blood pressure, but only 1 in 4 has it under control. That means millions are walking around with a ticking time bomb inside, and they don't even know it. But there's good news here. Really good news. You can lower your blood pressure. You can protect your brain. And it starts with the foods you put on your plate each day. Instead of grabbing a pastry, imagine starting your morning with a warm bowl of oatmeal, topped with banana and flaxseed. Instead of another helping of salty soup, picture a dinner rich with leafy greens, sautéed in olive oil with a side of beets. Even a cup of hibiscus tea, just 2 to 3 cups a day, has been shown in studies to lower systolic blood pressure by up to 7.2 mmHg, and even more in people already at risk. That's not a guess. That's from a USDA study backed by clinical research. Small steps, big protection. So, what happened to Evelyn? She survived. But her life is different now. She walks with a cane. Her daughter makes the muffins, and she once told me, quietly, if I had just checked my blood pressure, maybe I wouldn't be learning to write again with my left hand. Don't wait for a moment like that. Instead of saying, I feel fine, ask yourself, when was the last time I checked my numbers? 2 years ago, I visited my Uncle Frank in rehab. He was 74, a retired postal worker with a booming laugh and a soft spot for gardening. He had suffered a minor stroke a few weeks earlier. Thankfully, he was recovering. But what surprised everyone wasn't just the stroke itself. It was the cause. Frank didn't smoke. He wasn't overweight. His blood pressure? Well controlled. So what went wrong? The doctors found something he never knew he had. Atrial fibrillation, or AFib. Now, AFib might sound like a fancy medical term, but here's what it really means. Your heart isn't beaten in a smooth, steady rhythm. Instead, it flutters, it races, it skips, and when your heartbeat is irregular, blood doesn't move through the upper chambers of the heart the way it should. It slows down, it pools, and when blood sits still, it clots. If even one of those clots breaks free and travels to the brain, it can cause a stroke. In fact, strokes caused by AFib are often more severe and harder to recover from. That's why this matters. Over 6 million Americans live with AFib, and if you're over 80, your chances of having it are 1 in 10. What's worse, many people don't even know they have it. So let me ask, have you ever felt your heart flutter out of nowhere? A strange pounding in your chest while sitting still? Do you feel lightheaded when you stand up? Do you get tired in the afternoon for no reason at all? These might seem like nothing, but they're worth checking. You can ask your doctor for a simple EKG test, or even wear a heart monitor for a day or two. It's painless, it's quick, and it could catch something before it becomes something worse. Now, is there anything you can do naturally to support a healthy heartbeat? Absolutely. Instead of ignoring that afternoon slump, try adding a banana to your oatmeal in the morning. Bananas are rich in potassium, vital for heart rhythm. Instead of skipping lunch, build a salad with leafy greens and a few slices of avocado, loaded with magnesium and healthy fats. And don't forget salmon or sardines. Just 2 servings a week can give your heart the omega-3s it needs to stay strong and steady. Simple foods, powerful impact. Frank's doing much better now. He takes a blood thinner daily, keeps an eye on his pulse, and still finds time to walk his garden each morning. But he once said to me, the scariest part wasn't the stroke. It was realizing I had something inside me that I couldn't feel. So instead of thinking, that flutter is probably nothing, maybe it's time to ask, what if my heart's trying to tell me something? Margaret never thought of herself as someone with health problems. She didn't eat candy. She didn't drink soda. She cooked most of her meals at home. So when someone mentioned blood sugar, she'd just wave it off. I'm not a sugar person, she'd say. But what she didn't know was that her blood sugar had been slowly climbing for years. No symptoms, no warnings, just a quiet, gradual buildup. Until one afternoon, at age 69, while folding laundry, she collapsed. A stroke. When the doctors ran tests, they found something she had never been told before. Not only did she have diabetes, she'd had prediabetes for over a decade. So, how does diabetes lead to a stroke? Here's a simple way to picture it. Imagine your blood vessels like tiny, flexible tubes that carry oxygen to your brain. Now, imagine pouring sticky syrup through those tubes, day after day. Over time, the lining becomes irritated. The openings narrow. Flow slows. That's what high blood sugar does. It damages blood vessels, makes clots more likely, and reduces oxygen to the brain. The result? Stroke. According to the American Diabetes Association, people with diabetes are 1.5 to 2 times more likely to have a stroke. And the longer you've had it, the higher the risk becomes. But here's the twist. Many older adults don't even know they're at risk. You might not feel extra thirsty. You might not notice the brain fog after meals. You might just think, well, I'm getting older. But sometimes it's not just aging. It's your blood sugar quietly damaging your brain. So, what can you do? First, know your numbers. A fasting blood sugar over 100 means you're in prediabetes territory. An A1C over 5.7% deserves attention. And second, yes, change what's on your plate. Instead of sugary snacks before bed, go for steel-cut oats in the morning. Slow carbs, long energy. Add cinnamon and walnuts, both known to help balance insulin. Instead of white bread or pasta, try lentils and beans, rich in fiber and steady on blood sugar. Leafy greens, Greek yogurt, a handful of berries, even apple cider vinegar, just a teaspoon before dinner, can make a difference. And movement helps, too. A 10-minute walk after meals can lower your sugar naturally. What happened to Margaret? She recovered, partially. She speaks again, though slower. Her right hand still shakes. But now, she tests her blood sugar every morning. She's switched to a Mediterranean-style diet. She walks after lunch. And one day she told me, if I'd known what sugar was doing to my brain, I would have started earlier. So instead of thinking, I'm fine, I don't even eat sweets, maybe ask, is my brain paying a price for the sugar I don't see? Harold was 70 when his doctor gave him the usual advice. Watch your cholesterol. He nodded, said he'd cut back on red meat. Maybe take a few more walks. But like many older men I know, he didn't see the urgency. I feel fine, he said. I've got energy. I don't get winded. But 1 year later, Harold had a mini-stroke, a transient ischemic attack, or TIA. It lasted just a few minutes, no lasting damage. But the MRI told a different story. His arteries, the ones leading to his brain, were narrowing badly. Plaque had been building for years, quietly. steadily, silently. So how does cholesterol lead to stroke? Let's break it down. Your blood carries cholesterol. Some is good, HDL. Some is bad, LDL. When there's too much LDL in your system, it starts sticking to artery walls. It mixes with calcium, inflammation, and forms plaque. That's atherosclerosis. Think of it like rust forming inside a garden hose. The space narrows, pressure builds, flow slows. Now imagine that happening inside the artery in your neck or brain. Eventually, one of two things happens. A piece of plaque breaks off and forms a clot, or the artery closes completely. Both can lead to a stroke without a single warning sign. According to the American Heart Association, more than 38% of U.S. adults over 60 have high LDL cholesterol, and a 10% rise in LDL significantly increases stroke risk, especially if you're inactive. And that's the real danger. You can feel completely normal, even as your arteries are tightening with every year. So, what can you do? Instead of brushing it off because you feel fine, start with a simple blood test, a lipid panel. It tells you LDL, bad. Under 100 is ideal, HDL, good. Over 50 is protective triglycerides. Under 150 is best. Once you know, you can act. Instead of skipping breakfast, try steel-cut oats with a few walnuts. Instead of creamy dressings, switch to olive oil and lemon. Instead of processed snacks, grab a handful of unsalted almonds or berries. And don't underestimate fish like salmon or sardines, packed with omega-3s to fight inflammation. These are not diet fads. They're simple choices with long-term impact. And Harold? He made the shift. He walks 30 minutes every evening now. He tracks his cholesterol every 3 months. He hasn't had another TIA since. He once told me, "I thought stroke was about blood pressure. I didn't know cholesterol could choke my brain from the inside." So instead of asking, "Do I feel fine?" maybe the better question is, "Are my arteries still open?" When my Aunt Rose had her stroke, the doctor said something that stopped me in my tracks. "This didn't start last week," he said. "It started when her legs got too weak to move often." She had slowly stopped going outside, spent more time in her chair, stopped walking to the mailbox, stopped climbing the porch steps, and with that stillness, her legs weakened. Her blood slowed. Then, one morning, she stood up too quickly and collapsed. A clot, likely formed in her lower body, had traveled up and blocked a vessel in her brain. That's how a stroke can begin, not just from the heart or blood pressure, but from the legs. You see, after age 60, we naturally lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass every decade. It's called sarcopenia. And where do we lose it first? The legs. That's a problem, because your leg muscles aren't just for walking. They act like pumps. They help push blood back up to the heart and brain. When they're strong and active, your circulation is steady. But when they weaken from sitting too long, blood begins to pool in the lower body. It slows. It thickens. And when blood doesn't move, clots form. Clots that can travel. Clots that can kill. Research shows seniors who sit more than 8 hours a day have twice the risk of stroke, even if they exercise occasionally. Let me say that again. Occasional movement doesn't cancel out long hours of sitting. So, what are the early signs your legs are trying to tell you something? You feel winded walking up a few steps. You need your hands to push yourself out of a chair. You get calf cramps in the morning. You feel unsteady, even inside your own home. These aren't just signs of aging. They're red flags. So, what can you do? Starting today. Instead of sitting for hours, stand up every 30 to 45 minutes, even for just a minute. Instead of skipping movement after meals, try a 10-minute walk to help blood flow. Instead of ignoring stiffness, do heel raises by the counter. Stretch your calves before bed. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need a gym. You just need to move. And when it comes to food, think fuel for your legs. Boiled eggs with kale, sweet potatoes, and pumpkin seeds. A glass of kefir with chia seeds. Oatmeal topped with hemp seeds and cinnamon. All rich in protein, magnesium, and nutrients to support circulation and muscle recovery. Aunt Rose? She spent 2 months in rehab. She had to relearn how to balance, how to walk. Now, she does 20 minutes in her backyard every morning. She keeps a resistance band by her recliner. And one day, she said to me, "I just want to walk to my mailbox again without fear." Because in the end, it's not just about avoiding a stroke. It's about reclaiming confidence. One step at a time. So instead of saying, "I've just been sitting a lot lately," maybe ask, "Are my legs still strong enough to carry my future?" We've talked about what happens during the day, but there's one part of stroke prevention that most people never think about. What happens while you sleep? Because even if you're eating better, walking more, and watching your blood pressure, certain nighttime habits could quietly undo all that progress. Let's walk through 5 common before-bed mistakes that could raise your risk of stroke, especially after 60. Mistake number 1. Going to bed dehydrated. Many seniors stop drinking water after dinner to avoid bathroom trips at night. But here's the problem. When you sleep dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker. And thicker blood moves slower, which makes it easier for clots to form, especially in the legs. Instead of avoiding water completely, try sipping just 4 to 6 ounces of warm water about 30 minutes before bed. It hydrates you gently, without waking you up at 2 a.m. Mistake number 2. Salty snacks before sleep. Crackers, cheese, deli meats, canned soup. Comfort foods, sure, but packed with hidden sodium. And eating salty foods late at night can cause spikes in blood pressure while you sleep, especially dangerous for people already at risk. Instead, go for bedtime snacks rich in potassium and magnesium. A small banana, a boiled egg with greens, a few unsalted almonds. Mistake number 3. No movement before bed. If you've been sitting most of the day and then go straight to lying down, your circulation slows dramatically. That's when blood begins to pool in your lower body, especially in your calves and thighs. Just 3 to 5 minutes of gentle stretches, ankle rolls, or heel pumps before bed can wake your circulation back up. It's not about exercise, it's about blood flow. Mistake number 4. Sleeping too cold, too curled up. Some folks love a cold room, lots of blankets, tucked in tight. But sleeping in a chilly, stiff position can cause vasoconstriction. That's when your blood vessels narrow. And narrow vessels mean slower blood flow, especially to the neck and brain. Instead of keeping the whole room cold, keep your body warm with layers and socks. Use a light blanket. Keep your spine straight and your head neutral. Mistake number 5. Going to bed anxious or angry. Stress doesn't stop when you close your eyes. High cortisol, your stress hormone, can tighten arteries and raise blood pressure even while you sleep. That means the risk of a nighttime stroke actually increases if you go to bed tense. Instead, take 3 deep breaths. Write down one thing you're grateful for. Or listen to calming music for just 5 minutes before lights out. Remember, the brain doesn't only need rest, it needs the right environment to rest safely. So instead of thinking, I'm just getting older. Sleep is harder. Try asking, are my bedtime habits helping or hurting my heart and brain? Because sometimes stroke doesn't come in the middle of the day. It comes in the middle of the night. Now you know. Stroke isn't always loud. It isn't always sudden. And it doesn't just happen to someone else. Sometimes it builds quietly. Through high blood pressure, no one feels. A heart rhythm that skips a beat now and then, a little too much sugar, a little too much sitting, or habits before bed that seem harmless, but aren't. But here's the truth. I hope you carry with you. Stroke is not inevitable. It's not just a part of aging. It's something you can fight, starting today. Not with fear, not with overwhelm, but with small, steady choices. A bowl of oatmeal, a short walk after dinner, a glass of hibiscus tea instead of a salty snack before bed, because every small change you make is a step towards something bigger, a clearer mind, a stronger body, a future that's still yours. So let me ask you, what's one small thing you'll try this week? Leave a comment, share it. Not just for yourself, but for someone you love who might need this reminder too. You're not alone on this path. We're walking it together. Stay strong, stay curious, and above all, stay kind to yourself.